What happened while we were away, brought to you by a portrait of the good, true, and beautiful. Donald Trump yesterday afternoon was flanked by scores of women and young girls as he signed an executive order banning boys and men from competing against women in female athletics.
With my action this afternoon, we're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding.
Trump signed the executive order on National Girls and Women in Sports Day, which celebrates female athletes in women's sports and those who are committed to providing equal access to sports for all females. National Collegiate Athletic Association Quisling President Charlie Baker, soon after the signing of that executive order, released a statement acquiescing to the new rules, saying his organization will take the necessary steps to align its member institutions with the new rules. This morning, Trump spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast and says his faith in God was bolstered after the attempt on his life last summer.
Honestly, it changed something in me. I feel even stronger. I believed in God, but I feel much more strongly about it. Something happened. So, thank you.
In other news, the rancor over Doge's pillaging of USAID continues.
We will fight their violation of civil service laws.
Yeah, Cory Booker didn't take his mural axe again. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says your tax dollars have been funding some very curious things.
I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening.
Yeah, $8 million taxpayer dollars to the left-wing publication Politico. But that's not all. All day yesterday on social media, sleuths have been combing over some of Doge's reports on USAID and cross-referencing them with publicly available nonprofits records and found organizations like the British Broadcasting Company and Christianity Today and subversives like Russell Moore and David French had their organizations allegedly taking money from taxpayers to fund their subversion of the church and other causes. Incredible stuff. Put it this way, at the same time, your tax dollars were going to fund subversive causes at home, politically and theologically, and abroad in the case of the BBC. Your same federal government was overtly censoring dissident figures in American media for challenging the regime narrative, as we saw in cases like Missouri v. Biden and Berenson v. Biden. Other than that, though, your federal government has a wonderful singing voice. And finally, we're bringing back Does It Woke, analyzing videos from around the internet and determining if they indeed woke. We now go to Washington, D.C. in the halls of Congress, where the House Oversight Committee convened yesterday. Let's start with Representative Jerry Connolly of Virginia.
The gentlelady has used a phrase that is considered a slur.
Oh boy, we're not off to a good start here. Mansplaining. The good Congresswoman of South Carolina, that's minus 10 points on the woke score.
Phrase that is considered a slur in the LGBTQ community and the transgender community. And let me please finish without interruption. And
tranny. I don't really
care. Oh
my,
3 transphobic slurs in a row, each one bringing with it negative infinity woke score or negative infinity cubed, if you will.
You want penises in women's bathrooms, and I'm not going to have it.
Okay.
One redeeming value of that moment is the Virginia Congressman's staffer in the background wearing a mask. Masks are known to protect you from some anti-LGBT slurs, so that gets rid of one of the minus infinity woke scores. It's unclear whether that staffer will still be wearing that mask tonight as he performs unspeakable acts on camera on the House floor.
To me, a slur is a slur, and here in the committee, a level of decorum requires us to try.
All right, we've now moved past the mansplaining, and the good congressman is now displaying critical consciousness. We're now up to -1 infinity on the woke score.
I'm not going to be counseled by a man over men and women's spaces or men who have mental health issues dressing as women. I'm not being counseled.
Mental health issues? Trans women are women, and they're bold and beautiful, Congresswoman. Tack another negative infinity on.
Decorum. Decorum is at the discretion of the chair.
That's me.
Okay, we've come to crunch time. Will this video woke? Congressman James Comer, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, will be the judge.
I will be honest
Mr. Chairman.
with the ranking member. I'm not up to date on my politically correct LGBTQ terminology.
Okay, now we're talking. The reason we have Moms for Liberty is because we have pussies for men, and the good congressman just said, I'm your Huckleberry. That's +2 infinity on the woke score, plus one more for the obvious and palpable fear displayed by James Comer. So what could have been the least woke video we've ever scored now just barely is woke with a score of 1. And that's what happened while we were away.